Great. Well, look, this is a bit of a diversion now from all the other things we've talked about because I'm delighted to invite Laura Sellers, who is a qualified coach, to come and just discuss some of the things that could help procurement teams if they access excellent support through coaches. Now, Laura, tell me a little bit about your business, because obviously I know you as We Are Olive, but I don't think that's your company name, is it?
No, it's not. First of all, thanks so much for having me. It's great to see you again.
You're welcome.
So now I set up Olive Executive and Leadership Coaching more or less a year ago to the day. It's 1 year anniversary tomorrow. So yeah, it's been a great year. I've been working with some fantastic procurement teams, my website is weareolive.co.uk. So it's sort of like
Right.
the short version of the company name.
And Laura, you didn't come from learning and development background, did you? I mean, what's your route to becoming a coach?
Yeah, sure. So my experience started off in business development many years ago, and then I ended up working for a recruitment business, running their back office operations.
Right.
And something I really loved was the contracting side of things. I used to
Right.
manage all the contractor paperwork, but I used to really like looking at the contracts we had with the clients and assessing the risk and those sorts of things. So I
Right.
wanted to do something that was related to that. So I discovered procurement had the links with the contracts and
Right.
did studying some of the SIPS modules. And then that led me to a large procurement organisation where I've
Right.
worked for the last 10 years and, sorry, 9 years actually. And I left there last year. So through that time, I was working with large procurement teams, making sure that processes were working, that finance and procurement were working well via the processes and the systems that they had. And that led to also things like employee engagement and my love for people development. And that's how
Right.
I discovered coaching.
Huh.
So yeah, I trained as a coach. It's a really lengthy process, really enjoyable one. And then that led me to setting up my own business.
Fantastic. And I think, look, I know you feel passionate about it because anybody can call themselves a coach or a mentor, but I mean, you've gone, as you said, gone through quite a long qualification process to get here. Do you think it matters to work with a coach that is professionally qualified by one or other of the sort of the big coaching organisations?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was something that I wasn't actually aware of when I first started investigating what coaching was,
Mm.
but coaching can be used in probably quite a broad term. So there's different types, I guess. So some people might talk about coaching in more of a mentoring
Right.
role where it's more giving advice, saying to someone what you should do because you've got the experience. But
Mm.
actually, pure coaching is not a directive way of learning. It's actually very non-directive.
Right.
So pure coaching is about asking the person the questions to uncover blind spots so they can learn for themselves. Because coaching is that we believe that everyone has the potential within them to be and to
Yeah.
achieve whatever it is they want to set out to do. So I do feel that in terms of pure coaching, absolutely, to work with someone who has gone through really rigorous, good quality training. And then after the qualification process, there's actually an accreditation process as well that you
Right.
go through with one of the coaching
Right.
organisation bodies. So yes, me, because I've been through the process, I know, and I'm lucky to have experienced really good coach training as well.
Right. Okay.
I think it's really important, but I appreciate that there are broader spectrums when it comes to coaching and what that means.
Got it. Okay. Right. So if I took the layman's view of coaching, I've kind of got the idea in my head that coaching is something you access when someone's got a problem, and you're connecting them with a coach because it's a bit like, I guess, counselling, and we want to get them through. I mean, is that true, or actually is it a broader range of people that can benefit from coaching? I mean, what's your experience of the need for coaching that you've seen?
So, in terms of, it's a great question, by the way, because sometimes I get asked that, what's the difference with
Right.
other forms of talking therapies? But coaching is around sometimes with problems, but also goals that people want to achieve.
Right.
So, the training that I've had is around three pillars, really. It's around
Okay.
the goals that people want to achieve, a pillar such as your core values,
Right.
the values as an organization, how they relate to your personal values and your
Yeah.
career values. And then also about beliefs also plays a big role when it comes to goals, because we all have things we want to achieve, but
Right.
we might struggle with things such as imposter syndrome, or feeling like we don't belong, or feeling like we're not capable because of the experiences that we've had, or the environments that we've worked in.
Yeah.
So where coaching really helps is it helps you work towards a goal. So I do this in a leadership and executive context. There's
Right.
obviously other types of coaching out there, such as life coaching. Where leadership and executive coaching works with the individual is that, of course, there is an individual behind every leadership title, behind
Yeah.
every CPO, every CEO.
Yeah.
So it's around how to make these two things work together. It's the
Right.
integration of what you want to achieve in your career and how that aligns with your leadership ambitions and the
Got it.
ambitions of the organization. So counselling it isn't, not at all. I'm not
Okay.
a qualified counsellor or therapist. However,
Right.
there are things like emotions that come into our
Right.
leadership. You think about how we have difficult relationships sometimes in the workplace, and you can come out of those meetings sometimes feeling frustrated, for example. Well, coaching absolutely holds a
Right.
space for that, a confidential one. And I'm actually a trained emotions coach as well. So
Okay. Right.
I'm able to hold a space for someone who really struggles with that.
Yeah.
So, and it's about, at the end of the day, it's about self-awareness. It's
Yeah.
about understanding when you're at your peak high performance and
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
might not be, and to understand the difference between reacting and responding. So
Got it.
there's certainly large scope for what we can talk about in a coaching conversation.
Okay. So if I put my shoes or myself in the shoes of a sort of an active CPO at the moment, I think it's safe to say that life is not straightforward.
Mhm.
I mean, I've just come back from Procurement event in Amsterdam, and the phrase we used was global mega mess. Everything has gone wrong. I mean, pandemic, we're still feeling the ripples of that in the supply chain problems. We've got challenges with people. We've got challenges with change of work culture. People now working from home or hybrid. We've got inflation. We've got conflict in Ukraine. I mean, just about everything that could possibly go wrong in both procurement and in supply chains is going wrong. And quite understandably, talking to CPOs this week, the stress that is being placed on individuals and the ever growing increase of what they've got to be responsible for. I mean, as you know, we've got regulation changing, German Supply Chain Act, environmental legislation, employment legislation, diversity legislation, on top of all of those things that contribute to that global mega mess. So unsurprisingly, teams are struggling. So if I was that CPO and I looked at my team and I thought, listen, I can just see that things are not connecting. What is it that what would you tell me coaching could help me get my team performing well? I mean, what would be your advice, or how would you go about that?
It's a really great question. I'm not sure we've got a couple of hours to go through all the
Oh,
different
I'm
options.
sorry.
But what I would definitely say is that sometimes, because of all of that, you've mentioned huge scope, the responsibilities are growing and growing, which is a great opportunity for procurement to really show what impact and what value they can have and bring. But it can also make people feel really overwhelmed. It can mean
Right.
that doing lots of things on a hamster wheel, but not necessarily doing everything well.
Yeah, yeah.
So what coaching really provides the opportunity to do is to actually take a step away from the noise, is the way I
Right.
describe it.
Okay.
Because actually the key to achieving goals or achieving our strategy goals is actually reflection. Sometimes we get into that notion of, well, I need to do more, I need to do more. And I'm talking to teams who are working 20-hour days,
Yeah.
and the pressure is immense. So it sometimes feels counterintuitive to step away, but by stepping away and reflecting and having a coaching conversation, which is effectively holding up a mirror to you
Yeah.
and saying, and helping you to uncover the blind spots, and actually focus on what can we do, what's
Right.
within our control, what's totally out of our control, and what can we say stop doing, what can we say start doing and continue doing. So it's just
Right.
being able to have that conversation, but also working with a coach enables you to have that conversation where there's no judgment, it's confidential, and there's no telling, well, this is what I want you to do. There's no vested interest from a coach's point of view, because it's about getting the best out of you and out of your team. And that's how you then grow trust. It's how also you can take a look at a different perspective. So, and it also enables you to break down those goals that you have, because we have these overwhelming, huge goals that we want to achieve. We know we can get there, but sometimes it's about how we break down those goals into smaller steps and more manageable chunks.
So as you say, time away from the noise gives you that space to really think about what you should focus on, how you can maybe, or maybe how even you want to go forward. Because not everyone, having the opportunity to realise maybe that you need to change direction is equally as good as getting help in working where you are, right?
Well, I think that's a really great point. And if you're connected with me on LinkedIn, so I use the hashtag a lot, choose your seats, because actually there's so much, because procurement is a value adding function, and there's sometimes an element of a feeling of needing to justify the value that procurement might bring, or trying to demonstrate everything you're capable of doing. That sometimes mean that we don't have the boundaries, or we want to take on more and more and more to show what we can do, then we end up burning ourselves out. So this is where the coaching is about enabling choice. It's about empowering you to actually say, okay, this is what's important to me in my career. These are my values. Here are the values of the organisation and how I buy into that. And then it's about enabling that choice about how you want to show up, because you can be everything to everyone and not achieve anything, or you can actually say, this is the procurement team that we are. These are the resources that we have. These are what we can achieve, and this is the mission we're going on together. So it's definitely about choosing how you want to make that impact, because it's not a one size fits all anymore. It might have been back in the past, and now it's about, okay, this is the environment we're in, this is the organisation resources that we have, let's do with that. And once you've enabled that choice and that perspective, it's amazing what you can achieve.
I love that. And look, at the end of this, we'll share the links for anyone that might want to take that conversation forward further, through you and I. But if just to close, if you were just going to give one piece of advice to a CPO about thinking about how they might use coaching, what would you advise them to do, other than pick up the phone to you, of course?
I would definitely think about having that self-assessment, about understanding, being open to looking at things from a different perspective. So, because we all bring our own experience, don't we, to the roles, but it's also about understanding where the rest of the team are at as well. Do you have a new procurement team? Obviously, there's a real talent shortage at the moment, and we've talked about this before about enabling. It's not just about attracting talent and retaining them. It's about enabling the talent that you've got there. It's about having an honest assessment about where you're at as a team and as a leader. What are the opportunities that you've got, and what are the development areas that you have, and how do you unlock those development areas? Because coaching is really about unlocking full potential. So
wonderful.
A self-assessment is a great way to start before you actually think about engaging with a coach, and having the commitment to it, because actually the accountability is with the person who's being coached and the team that's being.
Well, look, Laura, wonderful to talk to you. As ever, we could go on for hours, but let's pick up that conversation in another way. So look, for now, Laura Sellers, We Are Olive, because I think that's a great name. Thank you for that insight. And look, anyone who wants to find out more, we'll share the links to Laura in both the end screen, and it'll probably be in the bio of the video as well. Have the conversation, go and work out. And as Laura said, if nothing else, just take that assessment to get a feeling for where your team is, how they're feeling about things, and where the gaps are. Because if you work that out, then you can make a great decision about what to do about it. So for now, Laura, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And to everyone out there, make use maximum use of coaching. It can really help. Bye bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.